welcome to our first attempt at a live venting. Much like Radio Shropshire's post-match call-in, we're going to try and do something now that we can use on the Salopcast. So yeah, this is a bit of a test. Ollie is manfully acting as producer/presenter here, and I'm not doing any of the background work. So yeah, hopefully this works, and a few people can kind of listen back to this or even watch it live as we do it. So yes, as you can see, there's three of us, and we've got a few guests to come on and talk about the match with Sunderland that's just happened. So yeah, I suppose welcome on, Sean, and yeah, let's get on with it. What were your initial thoughts really about the Sunderland game that's just finished?
Disappointed. I think everybody's going to feel the same. It was to be honest, it reeked of a 0-0. They did nothing, we did nothing, but it was that 30-minute period first half where we were so disjointed, so all over the place, that cost us. And I think if we'd have had a settled right wing back that's actually in his position, I don't think the goal would have come. You're asking a centre half to do a job out and right wing back and that's where we've got punished. You know, they were punishing us quite a lot down that side, a lot for the first 30 minutes. But they never really looked like scoring. Same for us as well, which it to the 0-0 really. But it is disappointing. I thought defensively, I thought the back three again was solid. I don't think everything they dealt with. It bypassed our midfield too easy, and we were just toothless up front. Was it a game too many this week after coming back from COVID? I don't want to use it as an excuse, but it might be. You know, they didn't have the same energy as I thought. They showed a fair bit of energy on Tuesday night against Southampton. I don't think they had that same energy today.
Yeah, it was a shame, Sean, wasn't it? I mean, let's be brutally honest about it. Having just watched the game, Sunderland weren't fantastic either. So it wasn't like the start of the season that would have seemed like one of our hardest away games this season. You know, going to a fully packed Sunderland stadium, but no crowd there made a bit of a difference as well, I suppose. But yeah, just a shame really that we didn't play just that bit better. That might have got us at least a point against a team that are not doing brilliantly at home at the moment.
That's it, and I think you could see that Sunderland looked like we did. Up until we got our first home win, where you can tell that they started getting nervy, and they weren't doing an awful lot to us. In truth, they were very direct, and they were just clearing the lines any means possible. But that was a disappointing thing from our point of view, is we didn't do enough to score. Like I say, if we didn't have that 30-minute spell first half, we'd be talking about a boring 0-0. Because as a game, as a spectacle, it was dreadful. You know, it's probably. As a £10 spent on a Saturday, it wasn't my best £10 spent. But to be fair, I sit here now. The last time I spoke to you guys was after the Ipswich game, where we were deep in a mess with Ricketts still in charge, and I remember saying to you guys about players that are good enough to do a job for us, like Pierre, like Rochon, like Ebanks Landau. And they've shown that, to be fair, they've got back to their best. I thought Pennington was excellent today. I thought he was probably our standout performer. I thought he was.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Pennington.
Yeah, I thought he was excellent today. I thought he was. He dealt with everything that came his way. Back three, I don't think put a foot wrong. Really, I think it was the support from the wing backs that they weren't getting, because it was literally a case of square pegs in round holes at wing back today. And it's that for me is obviously the key area where we really need to strengthen ASAP. Yeah. Really, obviously, we need to send out a search party and find out where Brendan Galloway's gone. Obviously,
maybe he got on the airplane with Matt Miller and just decided to go play football in Australia or something. But it is a real shame, isn't it, losing Daniels and Miller? Ollie, we've talked about this on the podcast. They did weaken us, both those two leaving within a week or so of each other, and that's somewhere where we need to look at recruitment, like we said last week.
Yeah, Sean, what do you think about, and how do you think about like Williams playing right wing back, for example?
There's no other choice really at the moment. It's very difficult. To be fair, I thought Josh Daniels did very well against Blackpool.
He did,
I'd have been quite happy to see him there. But at this moment in time, we don't have good enough options. Donald Love, no, not for me. I mean, Donald Love performance today reeked of player during pre-season when you have a trial listing and they're not quite good enough, but he tried, but yeah, he's not the option for a right wing back. I think that's an area where I think Cottrell will be honest enough to say, that straight away is an area that he's going to try and strengthen this month. it's always a difficult month, isn't it? Really, January, because we all want to make so many changes, but is the options available there at this moment in time? Always the best options are in the summer, but I think a lot of this will go down to the very final day of transfer deadline day, where it will be players that are holding on probably for a better deal will then think, oh, I haven't got a better deal. Maybe I need to take this offer. And we will see. Yeah. And I think, I think we'll be fine this season. I think, the past month has changed a lot of my feelings towards how we'll be the season. We play. Today was a poor result. It was a poor performance. It was disappointing, but we didn't roll over and die like I've seen us do previously before Cottrell came in, and there is that fight to see that we'll be all right. Results have been quite favourable today as well, which has helped. So yeah, it's disappointing, but we go again, as I say.
Yeah, we're sick of away games at the moment, Sean, as well, aren't we? So it'd be nice to get into a run of home games and stuff like that, weren't it, Ollie? So yeah. I guess someone else has appeared on the screen here. Ollie, do you want to introduce them?
Yeah.
And
Hi, Harry.
comment?
Yeah, just before we leave Sean, just like one question for you, Sean. So if you could choose one position that you think we need to strengthen, what one position would be your priority?
Wing backs straight away. That is the. I know. We need to strengthen most parts of the pitch, but I think the one that struck out most today is wing backs, because we don't have natural wing backs. We've got obviously Bob the Builder, as you like to call him now, but he's not fully fit. He's not fit.
No, he's not.
And he's probably, he was rushed back the other night because Daniels couldn't be bothered to play because he's got his dream move back to down south. But wing back straight away, and that's the. I think that will. I'd like to think that will happen this week, because Tuesday's massive now. So yeah, that is an area where we need to focus on.
Cool. Cheers, Sean. Thanks for joining us, mate. Thanks for being our first guest on the live venting. We appreciate it.
Cheers, Sean.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Hi, Harry. How you doing? Welcome to the venting.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. So yeah, what was your view of that game?
I thought, to be honest, it was a really boring game from both teams. Neither teams created much. I think Shrewsbury probably had the better of the chances overall. I think Sunderland didn't really have much other than their goal, whereas Chapman probably was unlucky not to score. Love nearly scored. Clark should have scored. And Worley, we've seen him score from that kind of range before. We know he's got that in his locker. So I think overall, Shrewsbury probably on another day could have come away with the 3 points, but both teams were flat. It wasn't a particularly enjoyable game to watch.
No, I think I'd agree with that. I mean, the pitch looked awful, didn't it? It probably slowed the players up. It was a bit muddy and stuff, wasn't it? And I think my overriding feeling, like you just mentioned there from the game, was a lack of quality in that final shot today. How many times did we blast it into Rose Ed? We need to really up that quality, whether it be the players we've got on the books or looking at other strikers. Is that something you think that Cottrell might be looking at, bringing more strikers in the next few weeks?
Yeah, I think you can tell Clark wasn't signing. It's such a ricket signing on Clark, old veteran. We saw it with Pugh and Daniels as well, and you can tell Cottrell he isn't going to want to use Clark. He hasn't featured much in Cottrell's games other than this one, and then he's played a couple of minutes as well. But obviously he's been coming back from injury. I think he likes Ado, as you can see, but Ado, he hasn't shown himself to be a striker who's got loads of goals in him. Before obviously the first lockdown last year, he was starting to come into a bit of form. He grabbed a goal against Oxford. He was scoring. He scored against Bristol Rovers. And he was looking like he was getting into some goal-scoring form, but he just hasn't shown it this year. It's like how good he's been in the matches. He's been brilliant, but he just doesn't look like he's got a goal in him.
Yeah, he definitely hasn't had the goal so far, Ollie, that we've been thinking he deserved in some of the games we watched this season, has he, mate? And yeah, hopefully it'll come right for him. What did you, Harry, make of the two new lads? I suppose we saw them at Southampton, but Pennington and Chapman, do you think they're going to bring us something more positive than we've had? I think they've looked good to me, but what do you think?
Yeah, Chapman looks like he doesn't look like a player who, especially Ricketts would have gone for. He looks like a very technical and player with a lot of flair. He looks like you saw it. He took on players. What I liked as well, it was that Clark had missed his chance when Chapman went on that little run. He could have played through Clark and he would have been one-on-one. Yeah. But he thought, no, not after that. So he went by himself and he carved himself out a good chance. But as well, I thought with Chapman as well today, there were a lot of instances, especially in the second half, where he's got the ball and he's ran into the corner and he's trying to shield the ball in the corner as if we've got a lead to defend or something. And I was kind of thinking, probably easier if he gets his head up and looks for a pass. But yeah, and then Pennington as well. I think he does look good. He made a good tackle in the first half in the box that they went down for a penalty for, but didn't get given. He made a good challenge there, and he's very versatile as well. He's played at full back before, so I imagine if we're playing Williams there, he could probably do a job at wing back. And he's been good in the first 2 games I've seen of him. He looks like he likes to run forward as well.
Yeah, I've been impressed with both of them in the first 2 games. I think I'd probably have had Pennington up there in my top 3, but we'll announce that on the Salopcast when we do it tomorrow. But yeah, I don't know. I suppose just to wrap up our conversation with you, Harry, I suppose what are your thoughts about the next few weeks really without Cottrell? If he's not back for a few weeks, are you worried about that being a bit of a problem, or do you think that we're in safe hands at the moment?
I think Wilbraham, when he speaks, you can tell he knows what he's on about. He's not just some like assistant manager who doesn't know what he's on about. But equally, I think he needs to kind of get the players on board, not necessarily because they're not on board with him, but just get them like thinking. Just imagine that Cottrell's there and spurring him on, because it's shown in the last few games. Like when Cottrell's there, you could hear him when we were on the stadium. You can hear him on the touchline screaming at the players, and I haven't heard that from Wilbraham. I imagine Longwell wouldn't mind doing that, screaming at the players. But I think as well the signings are crucial that we make in these next few weeks.
Good stuff. Oh yeah, I mean, thanks for joining us, Harry. It's really good to get someone new on the podcast. I think we've got someone else new coming on now. But yeah, hopefully we'll do this a few more times, or maybe do it live during the games, and we'll get your thoughts again. So yeah, thanks for joining us, Harry.
Definitely. Cheers. Thanks. Bye.
Cheers, Harry. Thanks very much. Hi, Adam. Welcome to the venting. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
Yeah, could be better. Obviously, could have got a draw. I thought maybe we deserved a point from the second half. What do you think changed in the second half? What do you think made us better?
To be honest with you, I think somebody gave them a bit of a rollicking at half time. We were very poor in the first half, very poor in the first half an hour. Sunderland should have scored maybe 2 or 3, to be honest with you. There were some howlers there, especially from our goalkeeper at one point. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I think they had a good old rollicking at half time. To be fair to us, second half we were the better team, but there's nothing up front for us. We can't put that ball in the back of the net. Clark, he's labouring. He's taking his time, and I don't see him being at the club much longer, to be honest with you.
No, we've had the first 2 callers on. Obviously, you've kind of missed us talking to them, but both of them mentioned sort of the strikers and the lack of goals, and particularly, this be a long-standing problem under Ricketts and Askey before, really. So, is that somewhere you think you might be looking at recruitment, or do you think there's more in Ado and Cummings to come, or have you've kind of given up on this crop?
To be honest, Cummings, it's such a shame because he's an athletic guy, or he should be. Not at the moment, but he's certainly got that. He's certainly got that burst of speed that he can. He showed it against Liverpool. He can do it. But for some reason, he's lost in this game. Ado, sorry. Maybe. But it's something we need to look at for sure. We are seriously lacking up front. And given the quality of the 2 new lads that have come in, to be fair, I thought they did really well. They looked great. They looked out of this world compared to what we've got at the moment. They're good quality professionals. Obviously, that bodes well for us in the transfer market. So if we can get something of that quality up front, then I think we can move forward.
Yeah, I think the thing about bringing these 2 lads in, it's given us a glimpse as to the kind of quality that Steve Cottrell is obviously looking at, working with Keith Burge in the recruitment team now, and probably contributions from his other staff. It does bode well, really, because I think there's a sort of underlying feeling that there might still be a lot of ins and outs to the football club. And if they're of a good quality like Pennington and Chapman, then we've got something exciting to look for in the next 2 weeks, really, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. I do hope there are more ins and outs. There are a few people at the club that they haven't upped their game. They're still labouring. They're still not fit enough. They're still not performing how we've seen them perform. But I do think that we need to get some more players in. And it's obvious that Cottrell has the connections. He's a good master of the game. He stayed in touch with the game whilst he's not been managing. So he knows who we need. He knows what we need. I wasn't really keen on him coming to start with, if I'll be honest with you. But what I've seen so far is fantastic. You can't knock him.
Yeah, I think one question.
What do you think of?
Go on, mate.
Yeah, go ahead.
No,
I was just going to ask Adam, what do you think? How much impact do you think the players having those 3 weeks off? Having a game. Do you think you saw that today in terms of lack of fitness and rusty, or do you think actually we looked a bit better than you thought?
No, I think you definitely saw it in the first half. I think we were very slow to start, and that's got to be down to not playing football at the end of the day. But yeah, I think the 3 weeks has obviously affected us. It's not an easy thing to get over COVID. All different players will be affected in different ways. But we're clear, so we have to play the game. So there may well be players on that field that we don't know. They may well still be suffering a little bit. Might be good to have a bit of clarity from the club there to see whether who are a little bit lackluster because of what they've gone through. So yeah, it definitely has affected us.
Yeah, I just saw a comment come up there, Ollie, from I think it was David Brown saying two fit right and left wing backs and a striker needed. And I think that's the prevalent view of most Town fans at the moment. We obviously talked about this last week, didn't we, Ollie? So yeah, I think if we can get quality in those 3 positions like we just discussed there, Adam, that's exactly what we'll need, really. But I suppose last question really about I kind of asked our last caller this as well. Are you confident still, even with Cottrell sort of probably maybe missing at least a few more games? Do you think that we'll be okay under Wilbraham for a couple of weeks?
I think that it was obvious to everybody that Cottrell not being there had an impact. I do worry a little bit, but if it's a few games, then I think we'll be fine. If it was any longer than that, then I think we need to worry a little bit, because he's had such an impact of being on the touchline, and giving out the orders and making sure the team are organised and doing what he wants them to do. That has had the impact that we needed. Him being away isn't ideal, but obviously, we all wish him well.
Yes, definitely.
And it is what it is. So we just need to wait and see, I think.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, Adam. Really good to get a new voice on there. And we'll chip you out, and someone else has appeared, Ollie. Who's this?
Yeah, no worries. See you guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Adam.
Hi, Matt. How you doing? Thanks for joining us again. How you doing?
I'm not too bad, Ollie. Thank you. And hello to you, Glenn. Hope you've been staying safe and well.
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Yep, we're all doing okay at the moment, aren't we? And we'd have rather seen a win there, wouldn't we, Matt? So, what are your first reflections on the game today?
I mean, the first half, I thought the first 30 minutes we were atrocious. So we just defensively, we just looked completely, out of shape. Donald Love, I don't know, obviously what he's done to get back into the team. I would, much preferred Goldborn, even though, his match fitness probably isn't there, but I probably would have preferred him in that position. And then obviously you look at the bench and who wasn't on the bench. I would have played Josh Daniels at wing back today above Williams, but obviously we don't know at this point why he was left out of injury or COVID, so I can't really add more to that.
No, it's a shame, isn't it, with a few of these players? I mean, there was obviously the issue pre-match with David Davis, obviously a new signing we might have expected to see today, but he was out for unknown reasons, which, as we record now, haven't come out as yet. But yeah, I suppose it's going to be a bit of a building process through this January transfer window, isn't it? And there is going to be a bedding in of those new new players who seem to have done okay and did okay today. But unfortunately, today was a case of those same old problems, wasn't it, in terms of the shooting and the creating goal scoring chances, really, wasn't it? This plagued us for quite a while now.
Yeah, I mean, I thought obviously the best chance was Chapman, just picking it up inside their half and just running at them. I found when we tried hoofing the ball up, we weren't getting any luck at all. And then when we actually tried to play the ball on the ground, I thought we looked a lot better.
Yeah.
And second half, especially, I didn't think Sunderland were anything special. So I mean, we gave it a good go, but. We're still lacking that, cutting edge up front. I mean, I think Chapman looks a good player, and I think Pennington, at the back, he looks a bit defensively looks okay. Attacking wise, I don't think. Obviously, we've not seen much, but from what we see, he's not brilliant going forwards. So I mean, personally, obviously, I'd quite like to see 2 new wing backs and a striker come in. Obviously, I don't know what stage you're at with the Galloway deal, whether that's going to happen or not.
Who knows anymore?
Who knows at this point? And obviously, a right wing back, I wouldn't like to say at this point, and striker. Hopefully, you'd think he's got big contact book to try and get somebody in.
Yeah, interesting. So there was a comment I put up from Glyn Young talking about the defence okay, but the midfield is lacking. Do you think it's the midfield's lacking, Matt, or do you think it's maybe that we don't have enough creativity from the wing-back positions?
I think it's mainly from the wing-back positions. I mean, I think Norburn, in that deep line midfield role, and then obviously we're in the attack, one of them going up the pitch and one staying back for the counters. I mean, I think that Norburn and Vella pretty much the same kind of play the same kind of role, and they're both good at it. I mean, but for the wing backs, what you got in Charlie Daniels and Matt Miller, you've got Miller. I know he was very much playing in the midfield rather than playing with Williams and Love. They were very much part of the back five, and they only seem to push forward as and when.
Rarely.
So, and then obviously very rarely, and then obviously losing Daniels as well. What he gives us from set pieces, and he's good with the ball at his feet, good close control. So we've lost a lot of quality at wing backs.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Wally's free kicks were not great in the game today against Sunderland, were they? A couple of ones in the sort of general direction of Pierre, but nothing real quality. Although we didn't have a chance to really shoot from any of those free kicks today, and just one of those sort of stuttery performances. I mean, it wasn't. With everything going on, as me and Ollie were talking about before we started doing this, we've got to be a bit understanding of the current situation, the COVID, and how it could have affected the players over these last few weeks, because mentally it's probably been very challenging as well. So I guess, like most fans, Matt, you're just hoping to see us kind of move forward from this now and get the fitness built up over the next few games and maybe get back to where we were under Cottrell before we had this 3-week break.
Yeah, definitely. I think when Cottrell comes back, I think we'll definitely see us improve. And not to say that, obviously, the first half performance was pretty, dire. The second half, as I say, we looked at a lot better. But I think when Cottrell does come back, and I know obviously his health is the priority, and obviously he comes back when he is ready. But I believe when he does come back, I think he'll, I think it was Harry who said before, when he's on the touchline, he's barking out orders all the time and telling him where to be on the pitch and, and all that. And with Wilbraham, I do think he gives the same. So it's, two complete, it's like the good cop, bad cop, in it. So, obviously Cottrell's the gobby one, and Wilbraham's sort of just putting words in his ear and just trying to help him along, sort of thing. So I mean, it is what it is at the moment. And like I said, until Cottrell comes back, I think that's when we'll start to improve. Which
is a bit of a worry, isn't it, Cottrell? Because as Mark says, obviously football's very, very stressful. Maybe even like even the little bits of contact maybe he's having from his hospital bed, or maybe he's at home now. We're not sure. It's a concern. So obviously we want him to be healthy. But I think the two games have shown what a presence he has, and Aaron Wilbraham was keen to stress that. I don't know if you saw the pre-match interview with the assistant manager in the last few weeks. He's been talking about how important the manager is. So obviously we want him to be healthy. But I think you're right, Matt, in terms of saying that the manager is a bit of a miss, quite a big miss, not just a bit of a miss.
I agree.
So would you say the manager's been a miss?
Yeah. I mean. Yeah. So go on, Glenn.
We'll have our say tomorrow on the Salopcast. So we're trying to get. It's okay, don't worry. It happens to us on the podcast. I suppose normally we get to edit these sorts of things out, Matt. So don't worry yourself about it. But I mean, we talked about it very briefly last week, but I am concerned, like Mark's comment there that you just put up, Ollie, that it might be quite an extended period of time we are missing the manager. And say we talked when we did our podcast in the week after the Southampton game that we hadn't seen a note that he'd been discharged from hospital, and I haven't seen that this week either since then, Ollie. So for all we know, the man's still recovering in hospital, and you cannot expect him to be back to his best anytime soon. soon. I don't think that he isn't going to have an influence on what's going on in training, on recruitment. I think he'll still be plugged into all of that. But we are in a very unique situation as a football club at the moment. We're seemingly the only football club whose manager has had a real bad bout of COVID and is missing for an extended period of time. And that is, compared to all the other League One clubs at the moment, Matt, it is going to be really difficult for everyone to kind of get to grips with.
Yeah, it's like I say, until we can make the signings. In my opinion, I think we need to be getting rid of 5 or 6 at least. To even make the books, balance out the books a little bit, and like I say, to bring in a couple of new wing backs and a new striker, and then. Depending on how quickly Cottrell, can get back in the dog, I think that's when. I did see on the table we're only now 2 points clear of the relegation zone. So obviously now, as much as I hate to say it, it's like, well, if Cottrell doesn't get back in the dugout and then our results start, fading, then it's like, well, do we try and rush him back in, or do we, obviously, like I say, his health's got to come first. It's like, do you put the fortunes of the club first, or do you, sort of put the guy's health? I know, obviously, he's having sort of, an input still with Aaron, but obviously, it's not the same as him not being there.
Yeah, it's going to be really tricky, isn't it, Ollie, going forward, mate? And it's going to be interesting how the club deals with it all going forward. But yeah, in terms of today, it was difficult, wasn't it? So. I don't know, Ollie. Have you got anything else to bring up on the game, I suppose? We're covered?
No. I think we'll share our thoughts in the podcast. But real thanks for coming on, Matt. It's been fun little test, I think, this Glyn. We've had a few people on and a few people watching. So, thanks for joining us, Matt. It's been a good experiment.
So, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
It's all right, no worries. And Ollie, I think you're right. It has been an experiment. We don't really know what we're doing 100% with this sort of thing, but it's going to be really good for us to get people on and have a reaction straight away. And also we can use this and cut it into the podcast for anyone that's kind of missed the YouTube streams. This will sort of stay up on the Salopcast account now, won't it? And presumably we'll get better. Presumably, like the podcast, Ollie, we'll get better at it as time goes on. But and it also gives.
I'll be totally honest. I've been trying to get a few people on. But some people have been a bit shy. I won't name names, but it's been good to get a few people on. 25 minutes, 27 minutes we've been on so far. So it's been good fun, and hopefully we'll get a few more people on as we try this again in the future.
Yep, good stuff. All right, how do we end one of these? This is a stream. It's the end.
I'm just going to end it, mate. That's it.
See you soon.